We've been in the van for a little over a year and a half.
Cool. A year and 8 months, actually. Not that I'm counting.
We didn't really have a plan that was longer than about 2 months whenever we moved into the van initially. We got married, and for our honeymoon we wanted to do some traveling, and we figured that a camper van would be the coolest way to do that.
We were about 2 months on the road, and when we got back from our honeymoon, we just kept looking at it and thought that was actually easy. So let's do another month, and so we just kept doing that until about 6 or 8 months in. We thought, let's just push it. Let's keep going.
We ended up saving a lot of money doing it. So if we enjoyed it and we were saving money, why start spending money to get an apartment if we didn't even really want one at that point? It was not our plan to stay in here for our first winter. We originally figured, once winter hits, like around November or so, we'll probably call it quits.
We just kind of got into a routine, and we kind of got into kind of dealing with the cold days and the cold nights, and found that we were able to accomplish it. We had one rule when we decided that we were going to continue on month to month, and we said the minute one of us decides that we were done, that we couldn't do it anymore, then we were done, and we would respect that decision, and we would get an apartment. And there's been days, little blips along the way, but for the most part, we've loved every minute.
As the temperatures got colder, we found new challenges, but we also found new solutions to those challenges, and it almost became exciting to figure out like what can we accomplish next. And we eventually realized that even though things definitely get a lot more difficult in the winter, and in some ways a lot less comfortable, it's really not as bad as I think most people would expect it to be. Whenever we're traveling, it's a lot different than whenever we're not traveling. Whenever we're on the road, we've parked in truck stops and Walmart parking lots, the odd campground. We've parked in people's driveways, just all kinds of different places. But now that we're not traveling, we both have full-time jobs in the city, and so we move around the city as much as we can. But in the winter, it's a little bit harder because a lot of the places that we would go are just not as accessible with the snow and the ice. And so Walmart parking lots have actually been incredibly good to us. We
were really surprised when we started kind of traveling around and parking in the different Walmarts, just even the regulars that park. It's a whole community we weren't aware of.
Yeah, there's like an underground movement that most people just drive past and just see a vehicle, but there's in a lot of cases people literally living in those. It's weird, and a lot of them are our neighbors now. The van itself is a 1992 Dodge B350. It was converted to a camper van by a company in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan called Pleasureway.
We have a propane furnace. That's my best friend in the wintertime. So that keeps us warm. And in fact, that tends to be our main heat source. But there's other ways that Derek's found. He's gotten this little heating pad that we kind of put on my side of the bed, and it runs off a little battery, so it gets it all nice and warm. We have a propane stove, so just cooking dinner keeps us warm as well.
Our electricity is basically all from the sun. So we've got two 40-watt solar panels and one 100 amp hour AGM battery that runs all of our inside stuff. And so those two panels generally throughout the day, even in the winter, they top up our battery while we're at work. And then whenever we come in at night, our battery's topped up, and then that battery runs all of our lighting. It runs the blower on our furnace, which is incredibly important. We can use it to charge all of our, like our phones and our laptop and all that kind of stuff. We have a freshwater tank. It's underneath the van. And so in the summer, we fill that up basically every chance we get, wherever we can find a hose that we can get permission to use. If we happen to stay in a campground, we always make sure that whenever we leave the campground, we fill up our water completely before we leave, because it's sometimes a little bit tough to find a hose. And in the winter, it's a lot harder because our tank is mounted underneath the van. It's basically would freeze solid all the time, so we can't use our tap anymore at that point. So we actually have to bring water in with us. We bring in jugs of water, just like 4-liter jugs, and we're lucky because we have like office jobs. We're able to bring our jugs in, and everybody that we work with knows what we're doing and stuff like that, and so we can fill them up at work and bring them home with us at night. We've also got a black water and a gray water tank. So the gray water is where the drain from our sink goes, and the black water is where our toilet flushes to.
In the winter time, with the toilet, we use the toilet just like we would normally, except what we do instead of using water, because as Derek said, we can't use our water tank in the winter. We actually fill our system with antifreeze. And so when we flush the toilet, we're just flushing antifreeze instead of water. So we still use it all year round.
For showering, we have a gym membership at a nationwide gym. So anywhere we've been in Canada, there's generally a location there that we can use. We have also used, truck stops or just another gym. We started out by traveling all the way to the west coast of Canada. And in our first year, almost to the day, we saw every single province and territory in the entire country.
Yeah.
And all 3 oceans.
Whenever I came to the relationship, I'm an entrepreneur in my past, and so I created a lot of debt. And so we found that by living in the van, every month that we were here, we were actually able to pay down on our debt and to get our finances into a situation that we had no idea that we'd be able to do in such a short amount of time. So that was one of our biggest motivations, and to the point where now we're able to start looking to purchase a potential home down the road.
Yeah, it started out as just as a honeymoon, and then a little extension of that, continuing with the fun and the adventure of it, enjoying the simple life and the minimalist sort of lifestyle. But then eventually, the money definitely became a big thing for us. Now that we're actually being able to put away a bit of a down payment and actually starting to look at what we want to move into next, it's really exciting. Being in the van has been so fantastic about being in the van, but it's also been fantastic about what it's going to allow us to do next.
Yeah. We did save a lot of money living in the van, but it obviously didn't come at no cost, right? We have expenses living in a van just like we do if you're living in a home or in an apartment, but they're just significantly less.
The only utility really that we pay for is our propane. Our propane runs our furnace, our stove, and also our fridge. Then we also have gas, obviously. Our house is on wheels, and so we have to drive it around places. And so gas is a little more expensive in a large van than it would be in a small fuel-efficient car. But whenever you keep in mind that all the rest of the expenses aren't there, the gas is really not that big of a deal. We also have insurance for the van. We've got our gym memberships we have to pay for, and then obviously food and everything else that everybody else pays for. We don't have rent. We don't have electricity. We don't have a water bill. We don't have all those things, which is a huge savings right now.
It's been an absolute adventure. I mean, there's been way more happy times and very, very few downtimes, I would say.
It sounds probably like cliche, but we got married 2 weeks after we did this, right? So in so many ways, the past year and a half, I think, is probably the best year and a half of my life. We've done everything that I've ever wanted to do. We're happily married in a tiny space like this. Yeah. We've traveled to every place I've ever wanted to go. And we've had just such an adventure, and we've learned so much about life. We've learned so much about each other. We've learned just so much about everything. It's amazing. Yeah,
I think we're like more in love now than we were when we first met and got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably sappy.